Okay, so let's jump into what we are. Good afternoon, Nondamisa. Let's jump into what we are talking about today, which is future value. In our last lesson, we spoke about the basics when it came to the future value formula. So what we need to do today is focus on the slightly more sort of difficult questions that can occur when we are working with the future value formula. Okay, so let's have a look at the first question. Yeah, our future value formula is given to us in the top right-hand corner. Remember, F represents the future value of an investment or savings or retirement annuity or pension. X is our monthly or quarterly or half-yearly payment. It is our regular payment, our installment. So we can only use the future value formula when a regular payment is being made. I, of course, represents our interest rate, which has to be divided by 100 and then again by whatever we are compounding our interest with. So if it was half yearly, we would divide by 2. If it was quarterly, we'd divide by 4. If it was monthly, we'd divide by 12, etc., etc. Anyone remember what the letter N represents? What does the letter N mean in future value? Any takers? What does the letter N mean for us in the future value formula? There we go. Mamelo, the number of payments. Yes, Lisejo, the number of payments. Okay, it is the number of payments. It's not the number of years. Sorry, please can we mute? Thank you. It is the number of payments, okay, that are going to take place. All right, well done, everybody. Okay, so let's look at our first example. Irene deposits 1,700 Rand into a savings account. At the end of each month thereafter, she deposits 1,700 Rand into the account and continues to do this for 10 years. Interest is 8% per annum compounded monthly. Calculate the future value of her investment at the end of the 10-year period. Okay, that's not a particularly difficult question. We're not doing it because of question A. We're doing it because of question B. Okay, so we learned last time that even though we don't get any marks for a timeline, it's a useful thing for us to draw. So let's set up our timeline. So we've got T0, T1, T2 all the way down. How long is this for? It's for 10 years. Okay, and she's doing it at the end of each month. Okay, so we're going to say 10 times 12 because there are 12 months in a year. And then down here, we're going to get down to T118, T119, and T120. Okay, let's go back and break this problem down again. She deposits the 1,700 into the savings account, and then it says at the end of each month thereafter, she deposits 1,700 into the account. So my question to you is there an immediate payment? Is there a payment at T0? From the language, the English that they use in this question, are they implying? That's right. That's right. They're implying she puts the money in at the beginning of the month, the 1,700, and then at the end of the first month, she makes a payment of 1,700, and then she continues to make payments at the end of every single month. So what they are implying, Matrix, is that in the first year, there are 13 payments. In the first month, there are 2 payments, one at the beginning of the month and one at the end of the month. Okay, that's what they are implying. Okay, so we've got 1,700 going in here and there, and every single month all the way through to the end. Okay, the interest rate doesn't change. It's 8% per annum. So that's 0,08 divided by 12. Okay, so calculating the future value of her investment. We would say X is 1700, 1 plus our interest rate, 0,08 over 12. How many payments of 1,700 Rand is Irene making? Matrix? How many payments of 1700 is she making? That's great, my Melo. Quite right. 121. Good job. Okay. 0,08 over 12. There we go. Okay, so now we can stick that into our future value formula. That's it, Nondamiso. And we can work out the future value of Irene's savings. And then you can share your answers. I'm also just working it out. Remember, if you open a bracket, remember to close the brackets. Your calculator will have a heart attack if you open a bracket and then don't close it. Let's see what, yeah, an absolute heart attack. There we go. Okay. Amahle, you haven't missed a thing. We were just working out question 2A, that's all. Okay, it's just the future value of Irene's investment. Okay, comma 6. And then remember 5 at the end, guys, to get it. There you go. You are all doing that. All right, lovely. Well done. So that's really straightforward. Okay, we would expect 3 marks on something like this using the correct formula, subbing in, and our answer like so. Okay, let's look at part B, because this is where things become a little bit more interesting. Now it says to us, Irene leaves the accumulated amount in the account for a further 6 months without making any further payments. If the interest rate changes to 10% per annum compounded half yearly, calculate the value of the investment after the further 6 months. So now what do we do? Any ideas? How would we tackle this?
Remember, you can raise your hand and unmute, and then you can talk to us.
Absolutely. I might let go for it.
Ma'am, would we use the normal A is equal to P, open bracket 1 plus I, close bracket to the power of N?
Yes, we would. Okay, so why are you using that formula and not future value?
Because because she is, if it says here, she leaves it in for a further 6 months, which means it doesn't completely change.
Okay, but the reason why, thank you, Amahle, that's lovely. The reason why we use the compound interest formula, good, well done, lovely, is because there are no Zonda, not tonight. Okay, on Thursday evening we'll do present value. It's because there are no more regular payments. The regular payments have stopped, so now we have to use compound interest. Okay, so we would say A equals P would be our 314,781,65. 1 plus our interest rate is now 10% per annum compounded half yearly. So 0,1 divided by 2. Okay. And it's going to be, if it's compounded half yearly and she leaves it in the account for 6 months, what is the exponent on my bracket? What's the exponent on the bracket? Okay, Amahle. Amahle's given me an answer. Let's see what the rest of you say. Gugu says 6. Ayanda says 6. Of course, Nhlanhla, always. You're always welcome to take screenshots. Okay, so unfortunately, no one's told me the correct answer just yet. There we go. Ntokozo. Gugu. There we go. All right, remember when we are working with compound interest, N represents the number of times that the interest is compounded in the period. Here, your period is 6 months long. The interest is compounded every 6 months. Okay, so it will be compounded once. Okay, since it's half yearly, quite right. So your exponent is 1. It's not always going to be 1, but in this particular case, it happens to be 1. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? All right, so N in compound interest and N in future value do not mean the same thing. N in future value is the number of payments because there's a regular payment that's being made. Okay, in compound interest, N represents the number of times the interest is compounded in the period. So here, our period is for 6 months. That's how long she's leaving the money in the account for. The interest will be compounded once in that time because it's compounded every 6 months. Okay, so that's why the exponent is 1. All right, and the rest of you are saying she will then end up with, there we go. Just make sure we round carefully, everybody. So I'm going to do it myself. Okay, so it is 330, 520, comma, 73. There we go. Good. Well done, everybody. Lovely. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So mark for subbing in, obviously into the correct formula, and then a mark on our answer. Yes, Yamkela, always to 2 decimal places. Okay. Tuelo, the exponent is 1 because that is the number of times that the interest is compounded. See here, it says to us that she is leaving the money in the account for 6 months. So she leaves it in the account for 6 months. She doesn't make any further payments. If the interest rate changes to 10% per annum compounded half yearly, calculate the value of the investment after the further 6 months. So the further 6 months represents one period. Okay, one period of time, because that's how often the interest is compounded. Okay, so N is the number of times the interest is compounded in the period. So it's only going to be compounded twice a year. So if it's in there for 6 months, it would be compounded once in those 6 months. If it was in there for a year, it would be compounded twice because it happens every 6 months. So if the money was left in the account for a year, your exponent would be 2. Does that make more sense now, Tuelo? Okay. All right. Let's have a look at another question. All right. In order to supplement his pension after retirement, Mpho, aged 20, takes out a retirement annuity. He makes monthly payments of 2,000 Rand into the fund, and the payments start immediately. The payments are made 1 month. Sorry, I beg your pardon. The payments are made in advance, which means that the last payment of 2,000 Rand is made 1 month before the annuity pays out. The interest rate for the annuity is 15% per annum compounded monthly. Calculate the future value of the annuity when he turns 60. So now this one is a little bit deceptive. They tell us that the payments start immediately. So we are now used to, every time we see that they say the payments start immediately, we are used to adding 1 to n. But if we did it in this case, we'd actually be wrong. Let's draw a timeline to help us understand what's going on here. Okay, so as always, we're going to start at T0, T1, T2. So he's making monthly payments. So now Paul is making these deposits, and he does it until he turns 60. So for how many years is Paul depositing this money? How many years is he depositing this money? For 40 years. Okay, so if he's depositing it, yes, Amatli, that's quite right, for 40 years. So how many months are there in 40 years? How many months are there in 40 years? Yes, 480. Good. Okay, so we've got to go up to T480. So I'm going to write here T478, T479, T480. Okay, so here is when Paul is 20, and over here, Paul will be 60 years old. Okay, so he makes monthly payments of 2,000 Rand into the fund, and the payments start immediately. So does that mean that there is a payment at T0? Is there a payment at T0? What do you think? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so he pays 2,000 Rand here, and 2,000 Rand there, and 2,000 Rand there. And if we read the payments are made in advance, what does that mean? What does it mean when it say the payments are made in advance? What does it mean if we say the payments are made in advance? No, they don't end early. I'll write it here on the side for you. Payments made, my mouse out the way, made in advance means you're right. You're all on the right track. Okay, before the next month's paid early on WABA says, paid before the end of the month. Absolutely, you're all on the right track. So payments made in advance means he's making the payment at the beginning of the month. Okay, so payments made in advance means he pays, yeah, he is paying early. He's paying at the beginning of the month instead of at the end of the month. Okay, so payments made in advance means he pays at the beginning of the month. Okay, and not at the end like we've seen before. Okay, he pays at the beginning of the month and not at the end. Okay, so that's what payments are made in advance means. Now it says, which means that the last payment of 2,000 Rand is made 1 month before the annuity pays out. So now he's going to pay over here, and he's going to pay over here, but he's not going to pay at T480 because the last payment is made 1 month before the annuity is paid out. So this is his last payment. The annuity pays out at T40 when Mpho is 60. No, Nondumiso. You're out by 1. But it's okay. What happens to the money from T479 to T480, what's happening to the money? Exactly. It's going to earn compound interest. Good. Well done. Well done. All right. So now let's set up our equation. Okay. So the future value of impose, investment. Okay. So he's paying in 2,000 Rand a month. That's our X. 1 plus his interest rate is 15% per annum compounded monthly, which is an amazing interest rate. I don't think any of us would get an interest rate like that these days. How many payments of 2,000 Rand does Mpho make, grade 12s? That's right, Nhlanhla Lesego. No, Ayanda. Unfortunately not. He makes 480. So look here. He starts at T0 and he ends at T479. So that is 480 payments. Yes, Amahle. You can.
Ma'am, could you please explain the payment? So, can I please just like describe my understanding of it first?
Of course, go for it.
So he goes and pays up to T480 in a normal circumstance, but because he makes the payment immediately, we add 1. But because he made the payments in advance, we still subtract 1.
You're on the right track, but let's just go back a month, because you know, if you're a little bit confused about this, other people will be too. Okay. She's making her payments at the end of the month. So remember, she made 2 payments in the first month. Okay, because she makes a payment at the beginning of the month. That's where the orange line is. So this is the beginning. And then she makes another payment at the end of the month. And then she continues to make month-end payments all the way through to T120, right? So here we added 1 to N because there were 2 payments made in the first month. 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end. Okay, so that's why there ended up being an extra payment. In this situation over here, even though he makes an immediate payment, he's paying in advance. So that means that he pays immediately. And then when this 2,000 Rand over here is paid, that is paid at the beginning of the next month, not at the end.
Oh, okay.
So now does it make sense to you? Now we get all the way down to T479. Okay. He makes that payment of 2,000 Rand at the beginning of the month. Okay. But he's not making any more payments after that. So after he makes that payment at the beginning of T479, the money sits in the account until the beginning of the next month, which is when he turns 60 and it pays out. Does that make sense to you? That's the difference. Okay. Because no problem. Because we are starting to count at T0 and we end at T479, it means there are 480 payments. Okay. Mamelo, you are on the right track. Yes, absolutely. We're going to get there. Good job. So here let's just change this to a bit of a darker color. We're going to put that at 480 minus 1 all over 0.15 over 12. And now, because the money stays in the account, okay, for that last final month, it's got to earn a month's worth of interest. Okay, so we have to do this compounded monthly. So it's in there for 1 month. So that will be 1. Yes, Caitlin, your hand is up.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Caitlin.
So he's not paying that last month because money's being taken out, right? Or
No, 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 no. No,
oh,
it's not as though money has been taken out. His payments have now stopped.
oh, okay.
Okay, his payments have stopped. So in other words, when he starts, it's when he turns 20 at T0. He puts 2,000 Rand into this account immediately at the beginning of the month. All the other payments of 2,000 Rand that take place at the beginning of every single month, not at the end. Okay, so in other words, when you get here to this T479, this payment of 2,000 Rand is made at the beginning of the month. It then stays there. There are no more payments after that. He's finished paying. And the money stays in the account for 1 month before he turns 60, and it earns interest. That's what this over here is about. Okay, it's this thing over here where it's staying in the account. All right.
Okay.
Does
Thank
that
you,
make
ma'am.
sense?
Yeah,
No
it does.
problem. Cool. Pleasure. Lesejo, it's up to you. If you want to calculate for the future value and then multiply it by a bracket, that's fine. So not a problem at all. Okay, so a lot of you are sharing your answers, which is really awesome. Let's just say, so if we do, sorry, let's see, I'm just trying to read. And if we do so, does it mean the P in the compound interest is going to be the final answer? Okay, so in other words, your P value, this is your P value here. So the future value formula, Lesejo, is the P in the compound interest. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so your future value is the P that's going into compound interest. No problem. All right. So Mpho is a very, well, I suppose he's not lucky. He's just very wise, isn't he? Because look at the amount of money he would be able to save himself by the time he retired. Okay, so that's why it's always a good idea to start saving early. All right, good job, everybody. Are there any other questions before we move on? We're all good? Okay, all right, let's go on. Okay, so again, it's not the first part that we really need to think about. It's the second bit. Let's see what you guys do with questions 4A and B. Let me just go and grab the future value formula for you. And let's pop it over there. And then I'll also put the compound interest formula for you here as well, in case you need that. All right, so you guys try 4A and 4B. Okay, and then again, you can share your answers, DM Cat or I, Yolanda or I, so that we don't discourage anybody else. Okay, off you go. Well done, Mamelo. Perfect. Yes, so Luzuko, you're supposed to be doing question 4, 4A and B, and then you are DMing me the answers because we just don't want anybody to feel discouraged if they see other people's answers and it's not the same as theirs. Okay, so you can either DM me or Yolanda, it does not matter. Okay, so Mamelo, we got the same answer for A. Nondemiso, same answer for A. Tabang, Lebogang, Yamkela. If that's what you DM me is your answer for A, then I got a different one for you. I'm sorry. And Tukozo, I got the same. Tato, I got a different one. Just check your N values, that your N is correct. That's probably what it is in this case. Ayanda, I got the same thing. Ntlantla, I got the same as you. Awami, I got the same as you. The piso, I got a different value for A. Caitlin, I'm sorry, I got a different value for A as well. Oratile, I got the same answer as you. Well done. Ryan, same answer. Oh, Tabang, that's your B. Oh, sorry, Tabang. Hang on. I actually haven't worked out B yet. I've written it down, but I actually haven't done it. Don't worry, guys. We will, if you didn't get the right answer, don't stress. We will go over it. Yes, Tabang, you're right. Lorraine, yes, that's correct. Tuelo, I don't know if that was A or B. William, I'm sorry, William, both my answers are different to yours. Okay. Lesejo, is that for A that you're asking me about that N value? Yes, that's correct, Lesejo. No, Lebogang, that's not what I got. Non-Demisa, that's not what I got either. I'm afraid. Okay. shall we? Luzuka, I also got a different answer for A compared to you. I'm sorry. That's it. Zonda, correct. Lesejo, that's correct for A. Yes, good. Good, Lesejo. That's lovely. Well done. Did you guys draw a timeline? Because I really do believe that drawing a timeline makes a big difference. Yes. Okay. So if we draw our timeline, we've got T0, T1, T2. It's a 5-year savings plan. And that means that if he's paying monthly, there would be 60 months in the 5 years, right? So we'd go down to T58, T59, and T60. Okay, it tells us at the beginning of the month he deposits 2,000 Rand. So he does that over there. That's at the beginning of the month. And then at the end of that month, he makes another payment of 2,000 Rand. So this is like Irene in the beginning. And then he makes month-end payments thereafter. Okay. They want us to calculate. So he does it there, and then again at the very end over there. All right. So that means that when we consider his future value, it's 2,000 Rand being deposited. The interest rate is 6% per annum, so 0.06 compounded monthly. He would make 61 payments of 2,000 Rand. Okay. Yes, Kumutsile, I got a different answer to you. Amahle, I got the same for A, but different for B. In Hlanhla, I got exactly the same answer for B as you did. Okay, so we'll do that now. Okay. Does it make sense to everybody why there would be 61 payments in this case? All right, so he makes a payment at the beginning, immediately, and then again at the end of the first month. So the question is implying that there are 2 payments in the first month. So in the first year, there are 13 payments, and then there are 12 payments a year for the remaining 4 years. That's why there would be. Okay, so let's just talk about that again. That's fine, because I think this is what's caused the problem here. Everything else you guys are fine with. Let's look, okay? Katlejo starts a 5-year savings plan. At the beginning of the month, he deposits 2,000 Rand into the account. So that's this here at T0. And then makes a further deposit of 2,000 Rand at the end of that month. So here, that's this one. So this is the first month. This is the beginning, where he deposits the 2,000 at T0. And then at the end of the first month, that's T1, he deposits another 2,000. So that means that in the first month, he deposits 4,000 Rand. 2,000 at the beginning, 2,000 at the end. Okay. Then it says he continues to make month-end payments. So at the end of T2, he pays 2,000 Rand. At the end of T3, he pays 2,000 Rand. At the end of T58, he pays 2,000 Rand. At the end of T59, another 2,000. And then at the end of the 5-year period, at T60, he makes his last and final payment of 2,000 Rand. That's why N is equal to 61. Does that make more sense now? No. So there's not going to be an extra bracket because the payments didn't take place at the end of the month. At the beginning of the month, they took place at the end of the month. Into Kozo. I got a different answer to you into Kozo. I'm sorry for B, and I'll show you now why that is. Okay. So -1 over our interest rate, 0.06 over 12. And this is how I got an answer of 14237.76. Good question, Zonda. Shame. So some of you are still struggling. Yam Kayla. All right, Leanne. All right, let's go back and look at the. Okay. Question number 4. Question number 4 is like, it's not like Paul. It's different. Okay. It's more like this question over here with Irene. So same story. Irene deposits the 1.7 into the account. Right. At the end of each month thereafter, she deposits 1.7 into the account and continues to do this for 10 years. It's the same as that. Katlego starts a 5-year savings plan. At the beginning of the month, he deposits 2,000 Rand into the account. At the end of the same month, he deposits another 2,000 Rand. So that's 2 payments of 2,000 Rand in the first month. So the first payment, we consider that to be at T0. The second payment of 2,000 Rand at T1 is at the end of the first month. Okay, he then continues to make month-end payments. So he's paying at the end of the month, not at the beginning of the month. Okay, and Paul was paying at the beginning of the month. He was paying in advance. Okay, Katlego's not doing that. Katlego's paying at the end of the month. Okay, and he does this for 5 years, starting from his first deposit. Okay, so this is considered here. This is his first deposit. Okay, so for 5 years after that, he deposits 2,000 Rand. So that's why we are saying that the number of payments that he makes will be for 5 years, 12 plus 1, because there are 2 deposits in the first month. That's why there are 61 payments. Okay. Yes, that's exactly it, Amahle. I don't know if the rest of you saw what Amahle put in the chat, but you are correct. Yeah, so Leanne, he made 2 payments in the first month and then payments at the end of every month after that. Yes. Okay, so Zonda. Oh, sorry, Luzuko. My apologies. My apologies. Okay. Kumutsila, are you feeling a little bit better? Leanne, are you feeling a bit better about how we would do A? Yes, that's, oh, of course. Sorry, Amartya, that's quite right. Yeah, no, it's not 62. Why would it be 62? Can you explain to me, Leanne, why you think it would be 62? Where in what you've read here makes you think that it would be 62? Can you explain that to me?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Leanne. I don't think I've ever heard your voice before.
Ma'am, it's not the first time.
Okay, all right. Anyway, it's nice to talk to you. Anyway, you explained to me why you thought it was 62.
Well, ma'am, I thought it was 62 because it says at the first month he deposited 2,000 and then at the end he deposits another 2,000, meaning the first payment stayed in the bank and like generated interest. Then after the second payment that he made at the end of the month, he goes on forward to making another 2,000 payments for 5 years monthly. So like I thought maybe like there are
Oh, I see. So in other words, you interpreted, so from here, from this point onwards, you were thinking, okay, maybe from here, this is now where the 5 years actually starts. Okay, I get it. All right. That now. Okay, so the reason why it's not that is that it says he continues to make month-end payments of 2,000 Rand into the account for the 5-year period starting from his first deposit. So they are implying from this point onwards over here that this would happen for 5 years. Okay, so I see now why there was this confusion. All right, because you thought that the 5 years started between T1 and T2, whereas they're implying that it actually starts between T0 and T1. Because starting from his first deposit, Leanne, is not at T1. His first deposit is at T0. Okay, does that make sense to you? All right. I hope that helps a little bit. I know that this can be confusing. Personally, I find financial maths the most difficult thing in the matric syllabus. But fortunately for us, it's, questions like this are maybe 4 or 5 marks out of 150. Not that we don't want to try them. We do want to try them, but at least we know that it's not counting for an awful lot like calculus or something like that. Okay, let's just have a look at the second part, because there are a lot of you that have DM'd me answers for this as well, and I just want to check that we're all okay with the second bit. Okay, this is again now why I think the timeline is such a useful tool in helping us answer the question. Katlego experiences financial difficulty, so he does not make the last 2 payments. So that means that this payment over here does not happen, and this payment over here does not happen. But they're still asking us for the value of his investment at the end of the 5-year period. So they are implying that he makes a certain number of payments and then stops, because he can't he cannot make a payment at T59 because he doesn't have the money to do so. He does not make a payment at T60 because he does not have the money to do so. So that means his regular payments stop, but he still leaves the money in the account. He hasn't taken it out. So after he makes his last payment at T58, the money has to earn compound interest to the end of the 5-year period. Okay, so we're going to have that extra bracket at the end. All right, how many payments now has Katlego made? If he misses the payment at 59 and the payment at 60, how many payments has he made? Good, yes, he's made 59 payments. Okay, so we are subtracting 2 from the number of payments that he made originally. Okay, so 61 minus 2 means he makes 59 payments. All right, well done. All right, so here we would say F equals 2,000. Okay, 1 plus 0.06 over 12. 59 payments. And now the money stays in the account for 2 months. What is the exponent on this bracket going to be now? Remember, the interest rate is 6% per annum compounded monthly. Yes, Amahle, go for it.
Ma'am, why do we use the value of 59 for the future value instead of just using the A is equal to P 1 plus I to the power of N?
Okay, because now what they've done is they have changed the question. All right. They are saying that those last 2 payments of 2,000 Rand did not take place.
Okay.
So that's why we have to make this change to the P, what's going to become our P value.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because he didn't make 2 payments of 2,000 Rand.
So the values won't
Okay.
be the exact same value as
It
the
won't be the exact
one
same
in
value.
A.
It's going to be a little bit less. It's going to be a little bit less
Okay.
because he's missed out on 2 payments of 2,000 Rand. Okay, so he would have saved a little bit less. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. There we go, Mamelo. All right, so our exponent would be 2. Okay, because interest is compounded monthly. How many times will the interest be compounded if it's left in the account for 2 months? Twice. Okay, so that's why there is a power of 2 on this bracket now. Okay, so when you do it like this, you end up with 138, 227, 76. No, Leanne, you're not looking for outstanding balance. Outstanding balance is when we are doing present value. Okay, this is future value. We're not looking for an outstanding balance. So outstanding balance means how much money do you still owe on a loan that you took? Okay, so we're not talking about loans just yet. We're going to talk about loans on Thursday. All right. Caitlin?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
When you doing that timesing with the brackets, how do you know when to do that? Like in a sum? Or...
Okay, so you know that you need to do that if the regular payments stop and the money stays in the account.
Okay.
Okay, so the regular payments stop, the money stays in the account, so it must earn compound interest.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Leanne, so we'll talk about present value and loans and outstanding balance, hopefully, on Thursday. Okay, are there any other questions about number 4? How are you guys feeling about this? Is it starting to make more sense to you? Is it still difficult? No, Lesejo, it doesn't say that because the question says, what will the value of investment be now at the end of the 5-year period? So in other words, they're implying he didn't withdraw the money when the payments stopped. He left the money in there because remember it was for 5 years. So he had to leave the money in there, or he did leave the money in there up to T60. Okay, so it was like Caitlin asked, how do you know then when you're supposed to use compound interest? Whenever the regular payments stop and the money stays in the account and it earns interest, that's when you've got to use compound interest formula. Yeah, no, there are lots of twists. Okay. All right, Tuelo, I appreciate that. I really do. Okay, so Leanne, why did we multiply it by 1 plus I? Okay, because the money had to stay in the account. His payments stopped at T58 was his last payment, but the money stayed in the account up for T59 to T60, so for another 2 months. So when the regular payments stop, we can't use future value formula anymore. We've got to use compound interest. So that's why we multiplied by the bracket. So it's like we saw before with this question over here, where our future value became our P in compound interest. So the same thing happened over here. Okay.